Love alone cannot sustain a marriage, including myself. I got married out of love. I got married, oh my God, I love him, we love each other. Oh my God, we want to be a family, we want to stay the rest of our lives together. But I would compare it to driving a faulty car without brakes. What is the possibility that you're going to end up crashing? Very high. Okay? So imagine you get into your marriage just like that. Life with Ruzhoff, my lovely, is inspiring you to live an empowered life. Let's have a divorcee's thoughts on marriage and divorce. Let's start with statistics. Did you know that 76% of marriages end up in divorce? And I unfortunately became one of those statistics. So I thought it's really important to talk about this because that's why I said marriage and divorce. Many people go into marriage without knowing the implications, without knowing what exactly that means for their entire life. Okay? Most of the time, we just confuse a wedding with a marriage. And I personally believe that's why we have these high statistics of divorce. We romanticize everything. Oh my God, I'm getting married to the love of my life. We're going to have a wedding and you plan all those things, but no one prepares for the actual marriage and no one takes the time to understand what a marriage actually is. And for me, I think that's why we end up getting divorced because once the wedding is over, once that, oh, oh my God, my beautiful dress, he looks handsome, I look cute, the reality starts to set in. So for me, I'm just going to give my thoughts. And well, this being thoughts of an introvert, um, I've pondered upon this and being a divorcee myself, I feel it's important that we talk about these things and get to share these conversations. So again, like I said, when we're buying cars, we go for consultations. We make sure everything is checked out and the brakes are working. Is this working? But how come we go into marriage without any serious consultation? It's like deciding to fall down the stairs without considering if you're going to make it or not. That's how we get into marriage. I know there's some counseling, but it's never enough. Again, what is talked about are the surface issues and not like the deep core of what a marriage, signing a marriage certificate implies. So for me, I would compare most of marriages, like how we go into them, including myself. I got married out of love. I got married, oh my God, I love him, we love each other. Oh my God, we want to be a family, we want to stay the rest of our lives together. But I would compare it to driving a faulty car without brakes and thinking that you're going to come out of there perfectly fine. Just let that settle in your mind. You're driving a faulty car without brakes. What is the possibility that you're going to end up crashing? Very high. Okay? So imagine you get into your marriage just like that. The probability that it's not going to work out, that it's going to end up failing, is very, very high. And that's why we have the statistic of 76%, which I find very unfortunate, especially considering that most marriages, most divorces involve children. So for me, these are my thoughts, these are my ideas, what I think you should consider before you get married. Always keep in mind that when you sign a marriage certificate, it's not just, oh my God, I just signed to love you for eternity. It is a contract. Just like any other contract, if you're signing for the mortgage, if you're leasing a car, it is as binding as any other contract, meaning it has repercussions. Should you decide to vote, should you decide to get out of this marriage, you have to go through so many steps again of ending this contract, because all contracts have their terms and conditions. So does a marriage. It's not just a marriage certificate, it is a contract. So I would advise you, before signing such a legally binding contract, have a consultation with the marriage and divorce lawyer. Not just the therapy and the counseling that you get in the church or whoever is taking care of your marriage, but I would honestly advise you to have a conversation, a consultation with a family and divorce lawyer. Why am I saying this? It would help you understand what exactly happens when a marriage is no longer working and you unfortunately have to divorce. I went through that. When I married my ex-husband and said everything, for me, I was signing to love him for eternity. I was signing to be a family. I was signing to share our love. I didn't know we're going to be having legally binding issues like sharing taxes, like, the insurance, like the pension. Like, I didn't know that if you, for example, marry to someone and they take a loan, for example, and they're not able to pay that loan, you'll also have to pay that loan because you're an entity. If you sign a marriage contract and you've not talked, for example, to a family and divorce lawyer to have, for example, your taxes separated, it means if you divorce and maybe your partner has tax arrears, you'll be forced to pay them again because you're an entity. These are things that people don't think about and don't know about, and that's why we see people crumbling, getting into depression, getting really aggressive during their divorces because you're like, oh my, I don't want to use bad words. Like, I didn't sign up for this. I signed up to love my partner. I signed up to live with this person forever. I didn't sign up for all these damages, all these legally binding conditions. So again, that's why I'm saying, just like you'd not drive a faulty car, don't get into a marriage without really having a consultation with a family and marriage lawyer. I would really advise you to do that. So we all like having affluent partners, well-doing partners, but like I always say, for me, when I'm choosing a partner, of course, I'm not going to marry a pauper. I'm not going to date a pauper because I have a certain standard of lifestyle that I live. But I always keep in mind, for me, the only guarantee that I have in life is health. So as long as I'm healthy and my partner is healthy, that's all that matters. Like I was saying, if you're married to someone, for example, who's self-employed and they become bankrupt, and you're their partner, that means you are liable too. If they owe the government taxes, if they owe people money, you are liable too. And why they say it's important to consult a lawyer before you get married? I'm actually someone who is for prenups, and sorting out certain things. Because if you don't have these things sorted out, and I'm not being selfish, because some of you are going to say, oh, when he's still having the money, he's taking care of you. Yes, he's taking care of me. But if you have, for example, kids involved and your partner becomes bankrupt and you didn't sort out these legalities right at the beginning, you're also going to make your entire family suffer. You're going to make your innocent children suffer. So for me, I even consider it a smart move if my partner is, for example, self-employed, and it's like, I want to make sure if anything goes wrong, you and the kids are fine, and especially the kids. So it's not even about being selfish, but it's about better planning. Just like I said, you'd never drive a faulty car without brakes. So next time someone talks about prenups or going to a lawyer for advice and looking out at your situations, what kind of debts does my partner have? What kind of business or employment is my partner into? How can we secure ourselves in case of any eventualities? It has nothing to do with selfishness or he doesn't love me or she doesn't love me, but it's just actually a smart move. And for me, I consider it a form of love, especially if you're intending to start a family. So that's something you really, really have to keep on. Marriage is something intentional. You know, After the wedding, like I say, the excitement and all, you have to choose your partner every single day. You have to decide you want to stay married to this person through thick and thin, like we always say when we're getting married. So when situations come, like someone cheating and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, baby, I made a mistake. Cheating is never a mistake, it's a decision. So like I said, just like marriage, just like you work on everything else, wake up and go to work, do further studies, go for further qualifications. So must you invest in your marriage if you don't want to end up being part of that 76 statistic of divorces in the world. Going into marriage, besides the wedding, like I said, always keep in mind there are going to be storms. There are going to be good times, but there are also going to be storms and floods and hurricanes and things that you never prepared for. So always keep in mind the wedding is all about sweetness and oh my god, and we're crazy about each other. But over the time, keep in mind you're two different people from two different backgrounds, with different personalities, with different dreams, with different desires. So for your marriage to work, you have to understand that there are always going to be challenges, just like in any other sector of your life. Be it your work life, be it your family life, like with your siblings. So you have to be ready and willing to put in the work, to have the patience, but of course, not at the expense of your mental health or that of your kids. If the marriage is becoming toxic, if it's becoming abusive, if it is becoming detrimental to you and your kids, definitely you have to sign out. But if these are workable issues, you really have to invest the time and make it work, unless, of course, it doesn't. make sense for you, and stop romanticizing marriage. Yes, marriage is sweet and romantic and it has to be love and all, but it takes more than love for a marriage to work. Yeah, sounds not so romantic, but that's a fact. And I don't find that bad, because I look at myself and I consider the other relationships that I have, like the relationships I have with my parents, the relationships I have with my siblings. It's work, it's effort, it's a give and take. So that's how we should look at marriage. Just like you invest so much time in your friendships and your work, you also have to invest that time and same energy, if not even more, in your nuclear family, in your marriage, in your relationship. So you have to be really, really intentional. Being someone that is on social media, please don't compare your marriages or your relationships with the ones on social media. Most of the things there are really, I wouldn't say a scam, but to some extent, yeah. And besides, we all have different models of what we want in life. So don't feel the pressure to be like, oh my God, look at her marriage. Oh my God, look at how her husband is. It could be, it's just like that for the camera. And once the camera goes out, they start throwing cups and plates. So concentrate on marriage. Don't dream so much of the grass is greener elsewhere, because the grass is only greener where it's watered. So concentrate on watering your own marriage, on watering your own relationship, and you'll be just fine. As I conclude this video, so these are some of the things that I would like to give you along the way. I'm just going to say them very briefly. Before you get married, ask yourself, do I want to have kids? If you want to have kids, what measures have we put in place to make sure our kids have the best life possible? Think of childcare, think of support. And when we're talking divorce, keep in mind, if we have kids, that means there'll have to be discussions like childcare support, spousal support, for stay-at-home partners. Have you considered that maybe you could also be liable for the taxes that your partner maybe didn't pay, or the arrears they have? If you're divorcing, how are you going to handle that child custody? Is it going to be shared or separate? I always have advised people to do shared custody, unless of course it would be a danger to the children. But other than that, children need both their parents regardless of your marriage ending. I think if I was to get married again, I would only get married with a prenup. Educate yourself about it. It's not as negative as most of you think. It's actually something very smart, and it's also a form of protecting your loved ones, even your partner. So maybe that's something you should think about, talk about with your partner. And a prenup is something that is very flexible. You can decide what comes into the prenup and what doesn't come in. So you can look at the core values or core things that are important to you, to make sure that they are in that prenup and you're secured, and maybe your children and your partner. So definitely that is something you have to keep in mind. Don't get married if you can't have hard conversations, okay? Like I said, marriage is work. It's more than love. Love alone cannot sustain a marriage. It's the engine, it's the fuel, but it takes more than just love. You have to be friends, you have to be able to communicate well with each other, you have to be able to manage the finances together, you have to be able to grow together. If you outgrow each other, that marriage is definitely going to end. So always try to grow together, push each other, empower each other, support each other, discover new hobbies together. Or if your partner has a hobby, try to be a part of it. Try to create shared experiences. Okay? So this is what I'm giving you as my take home for you. Do not get married if you can't have hard conversations. Okay? Like I said, 76% of marriage ends in divorce. So talk about it. We're getting married, yes, but if we were to get divorced, how do we want to handle it? And then we wouldn't have these crises of people fighting and hating each other and wishing each other the worst and tearing the children apart just because they didn't prepare for divorce. Just as you're getting into marriage, keep in mind divorce is a possibility. And that doesn't mean you're going to divorce, but it's a possibility. So talk about it. In case of a divorce, how do we want to handle things? And that's where a prenup, for example, comes in. So make sure you have these hard conversations before you tie the knot. Trust me, it will save you a lot of problems. Talk about finances, inheritance. We're talking, if I won in the lottery, how do we go about it? You have your inheritance. So if I inherited something, how do we go about it? Do we share it? Is it just for me? Is it for the kids? Have these conversations, especially if it has to do with money, if it has to do with finances. We all know that is like a very, very sensitive topic. And actually, I feel it is safer and better to talk about it before you really get into the deep waters of marriage and other things come on top. So definitely talk about these things. If you buy me a car, do I keep it? Do you take it back if you divorce? All sorts of things. Have them cleared for any eventualities. For example, let me give you an example. If I got married again, for example, it would be very important for me to have a prenup saying, once we decide to divorce, I want my divorce to be immediately. My last divorce, I had to wait for almost 3 years again because there was nothing. So we had to go through all the legal steps of clearing everything, things that I just got to learn about through my divorce process. I never want to go through that, because I'm someone who likes to close my chapters, close them real quick, put it behind me, because it can be very stressful. It can be very draining. Through my divorce, I got thyroid underfunction, because the stress was too much. I never want to go through that again. I want us to have a prenup where we're like, if we both decide it's not working, if we both decide we put enough effort and would like to let go, I want my divorce to be like tomorrow. So that means we're going to have some legalities cleared out from the beginning. We're never going to have shared taxes and so on. So we don't have to clear that for the divorce to be, like legal to go through. If we have kids, I would like us to clear from the beginning that it's going to be joint custody, unless my partner turns out to be very aggressive, abusive to the children. Then definitely I take the custody. But besides that, it will have to be shared custody, for example. And that comes from my wounds or my trauma of my last divorce. But I appreciate that because that means I learned a lesson. And these are the things I'm trying to help you, or mistakes I'm trying to help you not to make, because I made them myself. We talk about taxes. I told you, I gave a very simple example. If your partner especially is self-employed, you want to be sure that you not have shared taxes. Most people, when you say that, for example, here in Germany, if you get married, sign marriage certificate, and you don't clarify that you're going to be having separate tax declarations, if your partner should go bankrupt or have arrears of taxes and you are divorcing, you'll get a letter telling you owe the government this and this much of taxes. Yes, it will be a shocker to you. So try to make sure that is something that is cleared from the beginning. And then the last one, I've had an experience with this, not myself, but someone I know, an acquaintance. We talk about loans and debts. If your partner is taking out a loan, of course, your partnership, you have to decide if you want to be a co-signee on this loan or not. But be strict and be very careful what kind of loans you co-sign with. If you feel I'm not in position to be able to pay back this loan, should my partner not have the capacity to pay back this loan, don't be a co-signee. I've seen a girl who had, not a girl, a woman, like I felt sorry because husband was being very selfish. Well, having a very good job. She's a housewife, and he always made her a co-signee on all their loans, until one time we were chatting and she was like, oh, I'm with my husband. We're going to the bank to get this and this loan. And I'm like, why are you going with him? She's like, yeah, I always co-sign. I was like, are you crazy? Why in the first place are you even co-signing when you don't even have a job? But if he divorced you tomorrow or you divorce him tomorrow, that means you have debts of more than 100,000 euros that you're not even in position to pay. You're ruined for life. And that's why I say it was very selfish of him, because I would not want my partner to co-sign on anything if they're not earning an income. If we're both working, that's fine. We can co-sign if we're getting a mortgage for the house or anything. But you can't make a stay-at-home mom co-sign on a loan of 50,000 euros. So you have to be very careful. And even if you have a job, if your partner wants to get a loan, is it something you really think is necessary? Is it something you really want? And if you don't feel comfortable about that, do not co-sign, because in case of a divorce, unfortunately, you are liable to, and that could ruin you and the lives of your children. So any smart thinking person would keep that in mind and not do that. My lovelies, it's been amazing chatting with you. Forgive my glitches. I haven't filmed in a long time, but I think that's what makes life fun. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being patient with me. I know I've been on for a long time. Please don't forget to like this video, to comment and share. It helps with the algorithms. I'm really hopeful that our views will get better again. They are really terrible at the moment. They really suck, but it's only you who can help me make them better. Show the algorithm that you love this content, and they will push us. So please support by watching, liking, sharing, and commenting. And of course, I'm waiting for your comments. I need to know experiences. Are you a divorcee? Have you ever been divorced? What was your divorce experience like? Or are you married and did you not consider some of those things? Or are you in the divorce process and you want to know how to go about it, especially if you're in Europe? I can easily advise you or give you a consultation. Keep in mind, it's okay to divorce. You know, no one gets married to divorce. We all go in for the long term, for the forever. But if it doesn't work out, it's okay to divorce. I know we live in different societies where people are going to judge you, where people are going to question your decision. At the end of the day, it's your life and that of your children if the children are involved. So make sure, if you don't feel healthy, if you don't feel comfortable in a marriage anymore, if it's not working anymore, please divorce. Otherwise, the goal should be to be happily married until eternity. My lovelies, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for taking a front row seat in my head. And yeah, I'm here to inspire, uplift, and empower you. Until next time,